Yoga Muttz. What is that? Do you teach your dogs to do yoga? And I was like, I can't even teach my dogs to like walk well on a leash. Like, no, I don't teach dogs to do yoga. So I am Alex. I own Movement Lounge by Yoga Muttz. I started Yoga Muttz in 2018. And the whole point of it was, so I've always had dogs. They're all mutts. They're all different like breeds and sizes, and they have come from different backgrounds and ages. And in reality, like, they all come together and we have our little pack. And so the whole idea was that that's what I want to see in like my yoga community, of just all different types of people, skill levels, like just that like comes together to support each other. And so that's kind of like where Yoga Muttz itself came about. So we came up with the Yoga with Dogs idea just chatting one day. I was like, okay, we're a yoga studio. Like, how do we do this? Like, at the time they had a litter of puppies. And obviously like bringing puppies into a space with multiple people is a little bit easier. They don't have as many sensitivities that other older rescue dogs may have. And so it was like, well, we've got this litter of puppies. We want to get some information out about them. Like, we want people to see them. And we did a trial run basically back in February of 2020 with this litter of husky mixes. And it was just a huge success. And it was sold out instantly, basically. And everyone had so much fun. The puppies, they got to run around and play and interact with people. It was just like, okay, this works. We can make this work. Like, how do we learn from our first experience and build off it? And like, that's what we've done. So now we do public classes, and then we also host like private classes. And it's been a way for us to help get dogs adopted with the rescue, but also fundraise. Since the start of just this year, we've been able to raise over $2,000 for the rescue to go right back towards all the care. There's obviously a demand for this, and it's great for the dogs because they get socialization, like they get exposure. People want to post about them on social media. So then somebody else might be like, oh my gosh, that's the exact kind of dog I was looking for. Like, I'd love to, where is this dog? How do I get it? And so it's just kind of like snowballed into this really, really awesome thing that brings people together with dogs and education about the rescue and the work that they do. We actually keep an alumni wall at the studio, and it's from like when we first opened, and it's all the dogs that have gotten adopted either through our network, through an event, through a member that comes to the studio. And right now there's about 14 or so up there. I need to update because this year's, with our like explosive growth in social media, it's just changed. So we're going to be adding a few more dogs to that. Most recently, we had this huge success story with this man, Brian, and this puppy, Rick. Brian was here because it was his wife's 30th birthday party, and she wanted to have, honestly, the coolest theme I've ever heard. And she wanted a Lisa Frank theme and puppy yoga. So everyone came in like rainbow. He's like doing the yoga, and he just kind of like had this moment with Rick the puppy. The dog walked by him. He just stopped what he was doing, sat down, and like cradled his puppy in his arms, and was like, cool, soulmate, done. And he ended up calling me later, and he was like, so I really wasn't anticipating adopting a dog, but the universe clearly has other plans. He actually just was able to come pick up Rick on Sunday from the studio and take him home. My sister, she was here, and she just fell head over heels in love with one of the puppies. You know, like when you get so emotional that you're in like tears, she's like, I've got to have this puppy. And so, you know, they don't do on-site adoptions because it can be so emotional, and they want you to like go home and like think about it. And so she ended up going home. Okay, yes, like I want to do this. And then kind of like ended up walking herself back, like, okay, I'm not at a right place to have a puppy right now. You know, this isn't exactly what I want to do, but it actually led her to adopt a different dog with SOAR. His name was School Bus Gus. She kept the name School Bus Gus, and he's awesome. He's an adult, maybe 6 or 7, big lab, like 100 pounds, like big old lab. And he came to SOAR because his previous owner was just having some medical issues that couldn't keep him. And he has a weird issue with like flooring texture transitions. Like if he's on carpet, he doesn't like to go to hardwood or something that just doesn't have a lot of traction. And so they've literally like built their whole house around making sure that Gus has this zone of carpets to be on at all times. Even though that class didn't lead to the puppy getting adopted, it's doing what we also want. It's bringing awareness to the rescue so that maybe that puppy's not the one for you, but like we take in other dogs, like adult dogs, senior dogs, other dogs. And so exactly what we're hoping will happen is just people will know about it and see the other dogs as well, see the puppies, and kind of make the connection and that relationship that is meaningful to that person. With any type of event, any type of physical movement, there's already caution. You sign liability waivers for a reason. There's just things that can happen because things happen. And now we're throwing in to the mix these pups or dogs that are just there kind of playing. And so, the worry is, like any business owner, is like, okay, safety, liability, what can we do to mitigate all of those things? And so it was a worry to begin with. It's always something we're cautious about. But whenever we teach like very slow, very basic, beginner level things so that, you can be aware of your surroundings, aware of what dog is running where at the same time as participating in the yoga. If you want. If you don't want to participate in yoga, then you just want to sit on your mat and play with dogs and like try to get them to come to you, that's fine too. And then, it's also like, how is the community going to receive this? Because these dogs aren't potty trained. Like, we're going to throw 25 people in a room and let the puppies play, but there's going to be accidents. Is that going to throw people off? Or are they going to understand, And so far, everyone's like, oh, they're puppies, they do that. And it's true. So we've been really happy that everyone is very understanding, basically just keeping an eye and monitoring the whole class, like while it's going on, to make sure that we can mitigate anything, like whether it's the pups getting too much, whether it's, a risk of an injury or something. And that hasn't happened, but it's just been learning best practices. Like, how do we make this more efficient? So my favorite part of running the company, I always wanted to make an impact. We work so much as people, like we work more hours of the day when we get to be with our families, with all these things. And so it's like, if I'm going to be doing that, I want it to mean something. I want to do something for the matters that matter to me. And that's dogs and rescue animals, mental health. And so the ability to physically and tangibly see impact, seeing people connect with dogs, seeing people learn about a rescue, seeing dogs get adopted, seeing people find their soulmate in dogs, like I've found mine in the past. And it's just, I get to help be a part of this.
When we paddle out into the lineup, people smile. There's no doubt, and we'll take off on a wave and I hear people going, Rosie, go, Rosie. It's pretty cool. There's actually quite a few people who surf with their dogs, and then we have these competitions where they surf on their own and they're